I often don't hit record unless I can see the vision. This is a concept I've talked about before. If I can't visualize how the video ends, I often don't begin. And I think that's a good trait to have for the most part when making YouTube videos. You need a sense of direction, you need a map, you need a plan, you need a goal, because then you're just, what are you doing? But as I was reflecting last night, as I so often do, and maybe I do too much, I don't know if like calling yourself introspective is arrogant. I feel weird when I say I'm introspective because it feels like I'm like trying, like it feels like if somebody said they were introspective to me, I'd be like, oh, you want a cookie? Like, are you bragging about your introspection? So I will say that I think it's often a curse. My overthinking mind leads me in places which are not always healthy. But last night I tried to explore some of these thoughts, and I'm going to talk about that today. So I don't know what this video is going to be titled. I don't know what the thumbnail is going to look like. I don't know the overall goal of the video, and that is scary for me to press record without knowing those things. I often do not do that. A lot of times I let videos and I let ideas go if I can't think of ideas for thumbnails and titles, because that's advice I heard when I was starting this journey, is don't start a video if you can't think of a title or a thumbnail. And when I really sit back and reflect on just that principle, it seems very flawed for the art of video making. It feels more algorithm aimed rather than art aimed, which is another concept I've talked on this channel. So what happened last night? Where are we? What's the goal of this video? I know I said I didn't have a goal. I guess the goal is to update you guys on my life so that potentially you can understand the journey of this channel and understand me a little better. And I have to get away from making things viral, I guess is what I'm saying. And all of this is tied together. So I hope this will all make sense. So let's rewind. I'm also going to sign up for therapy, by the way. I think that's an important piece of this puzzle because I get in this weird spot where I enjoy talking to people about my thoughts and my feelings, but I also don't want to burden them. And I don't want them to feel like they need to help me or they have to have advice. Sometimes I just want an outlet to just say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on that? And I guess that is somewhat searching for advice, but I think therapy could help me in that way. So where are we? I am in a weird spot with my career, my job, which is self-employment, which is video creation, which is content creation, that thing. And I'm going to explain it with how I grew up, with concepts of money that I think are relevant to this conversation, and where I find myself in the present moment. We'll start a few years ago where I was a teacher. And I was miserable. I was not happy. I was exhausted. I was a bad husband, a bad father. I say bad. I did not feel like I had the energy to be a good husband and father, or as good of a husband and father as I think I should be. I was unhappy. I was stressed. I was not living a life that I was excited about. When I woke up in the morning, I dreaded going to my job. I was not excited to go to my job. We'll say that. Money-wise, I know teachers are underpaid. I was also sports betting at the time, supplementing my income, so that was helpful. But for where I live and my financial situation, things that surround me, the money I made teaching was enough to be comfortable. We didn't have like copious amounts of excess where it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's loaded. But we lived well as a teacher. So I wasn't really stressed about money, but I was stressed about the life that I was living, the grind, the wake up, the go to work, and not enjoying really truly enjoying 8 hours of my day. So if we want to put this in two boxes, box one is money wise, I felt content and safe and provided for. I didn't have a lot of money stress because I knew I would always have a constant source of income. But life-wise, emotion-wise, I was miserable, awful. And it was not a life that I could sustain. And I couldn't sustain it, and I walked away. So where does that put us now? I'm happier than I've ever been in terms of when I wake up in the morning, I am pumped for the fact that there is a world out there that I get to explore and I get to comment on. Now, traditionally, the majority of the content I've made thus far is on my Green Beans Go Sports channel. I love sports. I love talking about sports. It is my passion. It's what gives me energy. It's what gives me joy. It's what gets me up in the morning and keeps me up at night. So having a job that is that rewarding and that life-giving is unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. It is amazing. And I recognize that that is a privilege. I recognize that not everyone has that ability to wake up and say, I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. I wish in some ways I could work more. I wish there were more hours in the day to be able to explore the things that I find interesting and the things I want to share with the world. I recognize that is rare. I recognize that that is a blessing. But the caveat and if we think about money and emotion, what I just outlined for you guys with teaching, money was fine, emotion was bad. If we think about this, and maybe it will help if I draw it. So I'm going to take a second because I can. And we'll say teaching was okay money. That's pretty small. But sad. So teaching was okay money, but I was sad. So there was still an imbalance. Content is tons of joy. It's hard to see because it's in green. Super smiley. But the money is the negative. Now, why is the money the negative? Because I do not have a consistent paycheck, as I did with teaching. Taxes are more confusing. Insurance, it's all whatever. And now my wife had been working. And so the journey I was on was kind of risk-free. The sports, content, this channel, it was a risk-free chance that I had to potentially turn something I love into something that I get paid to do, right? The goal for anyone out there, the goal is to make money and be happy, right? Money means we can survive, we can live without stress. Happiness means we can survive and live without stress, all right? And in teaching, I was provided for and not stressed about money, but I was miserable. And in content, I'm happy day to day. I'm excited about what I do, but I'm stressed about money. And I think this is maybe life. I think maybe this is the balance that everyone's trying to seek. Potentially the happiest people are the happy people who don't stress about money, and that's sad. And when I think about it, and this is where we're going to start getting pretty meta and introspective. When I think about this, a couple things happen. So one is we have, and again, if we talk, I don't want to say this, I am fortunate. I am blessed. We have enough money. If you told me 4 years ago that I would have the money I have now, I would say that's great. You have a cushion, you have a savings, like you don't need to be worried about money. But I think my worry about money stems from the fact that if content creation, the thing that I love, doesn't replace my teacher's salary, doesn't pay those bills, I am going to have to go back to something that does pay those bills and ultimately may not make me happy. So obviously, again, the dream is to do something you love and get paid for it. Duh. That's what you hear growing up. But in some ways, that's like a dream. And sometimes I look at myself and I say, I don't think I'm worthy of the dream. Why me? Why am I going to be someone that's going to be successful? Why do I deserve happiness and money? And do I? Right? And so those are some of the thoughts that I have. And maybe that's called imposter syndrome. But regardless, that's what I've been thinking about lately. So my wife is going to quit teaching and we're going to live. And so people are curious. People ask like, oh, how are you going to do that? Like, how are you going to pay bills? And first of all, it's no one's business. But second of all, I would hope that before people ask that question, they would say, that guy is an adult. He has a family. I bet he's considered all the ramifications and he knows that this is something that is feasible and doesn't put his family in jeopardy. So maybe it's none of my business. And I think sometimes I weigh the opinions of the other people, and so then I'm like, is this a smart decision? And maybe that's probably not healthy. So the other piece of this, which I do think matters, is I think I'm so worried about keeping content going because I love it, because it brings me joy, that I create in ways that are inauthentic. Because if I want to keep doing content, content has to grow. And if content grows, and maybe I need to write this down, because I think this is big, okay? If I want to keep doing content, content has to grow. I have to get more followers. I don't know why I'm yelling. I hope the mic can pick it up. I have to get more followers. All right? Because more followers means more money. So by growing in content, by showing growth, by getting subscribers, by getting views, by building a community, I am able to continue doing what I love and get paid for it, which is the goal. Okay? So growth, at the end of the day, in the content space, if you want to do content full-time, growth matters. And you can't rush growth. And I know that. But I don't believe it in my heart of hearts. I don't sit here and say, I got to be patient. I can't control how many people watch my videos. I can't control who this reaches. All I can control is the art that I put out. And that's it right there. That's it. I don't think that way, first of all. And this is the problem. I have this mindset that art and growth cannot coexist. There is a way to do things. There are countless videos on the internet telling you how to grow as a YouTuber, as a content creator. There are channels dedicated to hacking the algorithm and fixing your videos so that you can be seen by more people. And it's this crazy tension of anytime I strive for those things, there is a piece of me who feels a part of me that feels inauthentic. When I opened this video, I said, I don't know what the title and thumbnail is going to be. That's one of the first things I said when I hit record today, because I've heard that you cannot grow without good titles and thumbnails. And so I sit down and I think, I want to talk about my journey, where I'm at, why I love this, why it's a puzzle that I get to solve every day. But I'm also stressed by it, but not nearly as stressed and unhappy as I was here. Not even close. Like, I still want to get up. I still have a drive and a passion for this, but I think I would still be driven and passionate about it if it was making me money. But maybe it's deeper. Maybe my fixation on content is less about enjoying it and more about solving it. I don't know. And maybe that's something that I will talk to my therapist about when I book an appointment. But I feel as if, like, this video is this to me. This video, I've laid down everything. And while I've recorded it, my thought the whole time is, how is this going to get views? How is this going to go viral? Are people going to be interested in watching this? Is this content that I would watch? Is this something that I would sit and listen to? Is this going to be received well by the public? Are people going to judge me? Is this something that... But as a creator, this type of video is something that I could create endless pieces of which I could create endless pieces. This is something that is natural to me. Hitting record, having a semblance of a plan, without necessarily the end goal. It's like the Michael Scott quote. Sometimes I start a sentence and I don't know where it's going. Wayne Gretzky, something like that, right? So I have a lot to think about. And I think the bottom line is, I want to be in a position where financially I am supported by my own art, by the purest expression of myself each day. That people say, oh, wow, Red Means No posted a video. I wonder what kind of bizarre antics he's going to engage in on the internet. And he's a stranger. That's the goal. And I may be off my rocker, and that may be unrealistic, and that may be a dream that will never materialize. But I want to keep working for it. And I'm thankful that I have the financial runway to keep working for it. And again, I'm going to try to keep this at 20 minutes around. No, I'm not. Why does it matter? Why does it matter how much time a video is? Because I've been told multiple times that you drag videos on too long, right? And that kind of stuff sticks in my head. Oh, I watched your video, but man, cut out half the stuff. I'd watch it more, hit the 2x speed. It shortens the video by half. Growing up, we didn't have a ton of money. My parents, my father worked in the school system. My mother worked part-time. I always saw my mom. She did not work until I went to kindergarten, at which point she would work 9 to 2. So my mom was always available, and I appreciate that. But my parents did not have access. We did not go on frequent vacations. I did not get extravagant gifts from them. I think I've talked about this on the channel before. When I got my first job at 16, working at the local pool and a snack shop, my parents stopped paying for things for me. And looking back, I was always resentful. Like, why are my friends' parents buying their yearbooks? Why are my friends' parents buying their cross-country shoes? And, it's like, I get it, Mom. I have to be responsible. I get it, Dad. I need to be wise with my money. But when I look back, it was less about teaching me a lesson about money and more about them not necessarily having a massive disposable income. And so it was almost a necessity that they said, hey, if you want to go on this Kings Islands trip If you want to go to Six Flags, if you want to go to Disney World, right? If you want to do anything with your friends that costs money, you have to do that. You have to pay for it. And I think it was a balance of me trying to learn things, but also, them not having a lot. But my dad was also stressed. So my dad would have been red. So teaching at least was green. We had enough money and I felt good about financially, but I was unhappy. Content, I'm happy, but I'm still not there financially. My dad, growing up, I grew up in a family, and maybe this is it. This is it. What do you call this? Childhood? Can you see that? You guys see that? Childhood, I watched my parents. In childhood, I watched my parents have stresses about money and be upset about their jobs. And that's a miserable way to live, I think. And that's why I need to go to therapy, because now I sit here with enough money that I shouldn't be stressed about money. And that's not me I'm not trying to flex, right? Everybody needs a different amount of money to live the life they want to live. For the life that I want to live, which is well below my means, I drive a 2004 Hyundai Elantra that the window doesn't roll down and the passenger's handles broke off. If I buy clothes, I go to Goodwill. This was a Christmas present. That was a gift. I spent $20 on this whiteboard, and I made sure to shop around to see if it was the best deal. Okay? What I'm trying to say is I have enough for the life that I am after, which is a pretty low-key, chill life where I can just be this. And I shouldn't be worried about this. I should be content, but I can't. But I can't be content because I think I grew up always worried about finances. I mean, at the dinner table, that's what my dad talked about, is how he was underpaid and money, and it was always end of the month, we got the paycheck, we can do X, Y, and Z. Oh my gosh, we got our tax check. Let's go to Olive Garden, right? We weren't really big Olive Garden people. Olive Garden, what is that? Italian Applebee's, as my friend would say. My friend has this theory that all the restaurants are just versions of Applebee's. Like Red Lobster is just fish Applebee's. Olive Garden is just Italian Applebee's. Chili's is just Mexican Applebee's. Applebee's is just Applebee's. I think it's a good theory. I like his thought process there. But see, this video is life-giving. Sitting here, just discussing these concepts, just trying to navigate life, there are not many solo endeavors that bring me as much joy as the last 23 minutes. And if I could get paid enough where this turns green, would I be stressed? And I think these things are important to document because someday this may turn green. Someday this content thing may work out, and I may have to sit here and say, I thought it was this. Thought it was the money. But now that the money is taken care of, what is it? I don't know. All right, I'm going to go work on a title and a thumbnail.